Hi, so good afternoon, and welcome to the webinar. I think we'll wait a couple more minutes here while we let folks join and try to work out a couple of tooling issues. But I want to thanks for your participation. Okay, I think we're going to wait one more minute, and we'll kind of get into it, and we'll kick this off. Okay, let's begin. It's 3 minutes past the hour. So thanks. This is basically the first webinar that we want to do at Baicells. Kind of moving to a format where we would, more regularly kind of reach out to our partners and customers to kind of offer up routine updates across a variety of topics. So whether it's new product announcements, projects, technology, thought leadership, we want to be a lot more interactive in 2024, just to kind of let folks understand kind of where we're at. And so we're kicking this off. It's a new year, a new vision, some new leaderships come on board. We're striking out kind of on a new strategy, a new focus. And this is kind of the first in the monthly webinars where we want to start sharing this information with you. And so a real quick kind of snapshot of some of the speakers that'll kind of walk us through some of the topics, and I'll share an agenda shortly. So we got Gary Ford, who joined us towards the end of 2023, is the new CEO for North America, based out of Charlotte. He's going to kind of be walking through a little bit on some of the new partnership programs. I'm Tony Eigen. I lead the marketing team. I'm based out of Chicago. Kind of share with you a little bit in terms of some of the plans around future webinars, some of the events that we're going to, and things in general that we just want to do on a marketing side with our partners, our growing list of partners. And then probably a very familiar name is Jesse Roche, our longtime standing CTO. And again, in the spirit of wanting to share some product updates and some insight around some things that are happening, that are exciting, that are interesting for a variety of markets in 2024, Jesse will begin to touch on that. And again, we're just going to touch on some of these topics with the idea that in future webinars, we'll drill down into some of these more specific topics in greater detail. But this is kind of a preliminary introduction into these items. And so really the agenda today, again, on some of the topics, again, Gary's going to touch a little bit on the new Baicells. What do we mean by that? How will things kind of look differently as we kind of go into 2024? Really, what's our focus? I would say, we have much more of a strategy in terms of what's driving us, what we're pursuing, both with our partners and on our own. Jesse will talk a little bit about the product roadmap highlights, kind of where we're at, both on the 4G front and the 5G front as well. I'll touch on some upcoming events in the beginning part of the year. We'll kind of wrap that up. And And again, we've left some dedicated time towards the end for kind of an open Q&A. And again, I think with a lot of these events going forward, we're very much interested to kind of make this interactive, to hear from you when we schedule future webinars, what's of value or of interest or meaningful for you that we can kind of share in some of these events going forward. So having said that, again, this is kind of the spirit of the new Baicells opening up, engaging, being more interactive, and really wanting your feedback to kind of help drive what's important to you to make sure it's a priority with us, because at the end of the day, we need our partners and our customers to be successful for us to be successful. And that's where you come in. So having said all that, I'll hand it off to Gary and maybe kind of touch a little bit on priorities for the new calendar year. Gary?
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I think we need to advance the slide deck a couple slides. We're still showing the main slides, the title slide.
Oh. Okay.
You may have said I don't want to show Gary's picture, so
no, it's all right. Hold on.
I confirmed with a couple people on that they're only seeing the title slide.
Okay, so I've got. Bear with me then.
That's okay. I can begin talking and you can catch up.
Go ahead. I'll pull us up.
Thanks, guys, for joining. I joined in October after being a double radius distributor for 6.5 years. Came in with a good perspective, really excited about joining the manufacturer, staying in the industry in a new part of the market. So I looked pretty clearly to establishing some goals in the fourth quarter that prepared us for 2024 and beyond. The biggest area, probably from my perspective, that we needed to focus on was overhauling the Baicells channel program. I think from my perspective previously, and heard pretty clearly from the other partners, that there was just some confusion related to where we were going from partners, how we were pricing in the market related to partners, whether we were adding partners or whether we were organizing our partners, and then having a partner program, including a partner portal that actually would help our partners grow. So that was the number one area of focus for me, is to put some structure into that and then build some programs that will help us support our partners as we go forward. The second area was refocus our sales and marketing effort, both on supporting partners and in supporting our customers, and having clear markets where Baicells meets those needs, and trying not to be everything to everybody, but saying, here's what we do well, and here are the people we're selling to. And granted, we'll look at those opportunities outside our main areas, but knowing that our products and our development and our marketing areas are going primarily to a number of clearly defined markets. And then the last thing within sales, I wanted us to own the middle market. There are a lot of providers out there that are very good at the high end. And I think from our perspective, those competitors are we respect them. They play a important part in the market, but we don't necessarily fit right up against them. So if someone's going to go spend $1 million on a small private LTE network, we might not be the best fit for them. But if they're looking to do it economically and it's easy to manage, and that's where I think we really fit that market well, and we'll talk how we do that. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So a restructured partner program, we moved to 2 levels of distributors. We actually went to a stocking and a non-stocking. Simplifies the fulfillment process. We have 3 primary partners now that hold inventory for us. I think in the Baicells was working through whether we wanted to hold inventory ourselves or whether we wanted to keep it at our partners. Our objective is for our partners to be our inventory mechanism, and we're getting there slowly, but part of that is managing into those distributors. We have some non-stocking distributors that have long-term relationships with us, but they're in the position, they're better fit to sell our product and represent it in a very strong way, but not necessarily have the same product purchasing requirements that a stocking distributor has. We added 2 tiers of resellers, and really that was to support the addition of system integrators we plan on doing this year. It gives the ability for there to have resellers out there who are traditionally in the distribution business, and then resellers who are in the system integrator business, who are doing a lot of deployments, a lot of support, whether it's from an MSP perspective or whether it's a traditional integrator. And then the third thing is make changes to our current pricing model. We adjusted the minimum sales price to accomplish, we think, a competitive level within the market. It also gives the ability for the distributors, sub-distributors, and the resellers, along with the system integrators, to make a decent profit in there. And then the focus on everyday value pricing. I think in the past, we've had a lot of promotions that drove some confusion in the market, but also some activity that was not necessarily in the best interest of all of us. And so I want to have everyday value pricing with some sales opportunities for us, but not necessarily a promotion-driven pricing system. And in the process of we're launching in Q1 a new partner portal. We're excited about it. We think it'll be easy to use. I think it'll be a good way for partners to get product pricing, all the spec sheets, all that training that'll included in that, and that'll be the learning system that comes as well. And then as we go into the Q1 and Q2 especially, you'll see we're adding a lot of enterprise and education partners. We think there's a real growth area for us within those system integrators and MSPs and hybrid partners out there that really need to sell our product and are best represented by Baicells and vice versa. So if you know partners there, if you're working with partners, if you're a customer, we'd like to talk to them. We'd like to understand how we can help each other and better represent our customers through our partners. So that's really the restructuring of that program. And then to go to the next slide. And then here's where we're really focusing our priority on our markets. In 2023 and earlier, we had a lot of business within service providers, primarily in the WISP and tribal world. We did some corporate work, especially from the OEM perspective. We did the SLED work with education in smart cities, and in private LTE, we've done a little bit of work following the market where it started to gain some momentum over the last couple of years. But 2024 and going forward, we're going to look at those 4 areas, but develop them more completely. From a corporate point of view, we're going to be working with OEMs, tier 1 providers, and MSOs. And hopefully from our partner perspective, that's a seamless process. The bigger and more complex customers we'll deal with directly, and in the looking at the rest of the areas, service providers, education, and private LTE, we'll work through our partners. Service providers, we have one representative along with our channel manager who will be helping that with tribal, WISP, telcos, and I say telcos, tier 2 and tier 3, and in utilities, places that need a product that's easy to deploy and it's been proven in the service provider business. And in education, I think we're still a really great fit within education, on both in higher education and the local education system integrators. You'll see a lot of focus on our activity as we go this year. And in the private LTE, mainly in the enterprise, manufacturing, agriculture, and warehouse markets. There's a lot of markets out there for private LTE. I think from that perspective, you'll see us from marketing primarily in these, but as a partner, if you know there's opportunities over and above that, please reach out to us. But we'll have Eric's reviewing with our primary partners, and then you'll see in the portal which one of our reps are assigned to each one of these areas. And anytime you can go to Tony, Jesse, or me if you're looking for assistance, And then Randall is always interested in signing up additional partners. So that's what I have. I think we can move on from there. As Tony said, if you have questions, put them in the chat and we'll address them. I think a lot of the exciting stuff Jesse's going to review in the product roadmap, and I'm excited about our opportunity here. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Gary. So yeah, this is going to be more of a very high level kind of review, and then kind of touch on some of the key products and solutions that we're going to be working on coming in the beginning here of 2024. As a quick review, we have the full, well, mostly full portfolio. A lot of these, may not be super recognizable. We, very global company, so different markets, countries, cater to different requirements and bands and so forth. But I think point here is we cover all the way from, femto to macro cells. Generally, whatever the requirement is, we, for the most likely, will already have a product for that. For CBRS, the big focus for us here is on the LT side. We have the 430 with the neutrino, the low power outdoor. We have the 436 and 846 are, our most mainstream products that I think most here who are familiar with Baicells know. We'll touch a little bit on the 442i. That was a newer product released last year that I think will have a lot of traction, for us this year as well. But that one's an exciting product, and we'll touch on that a little bit more. And then I think the question we get asked the most is, what's our 5G, portfolio look like? We've been working with a number of customers actually on 5G, and the one that we'll talk about the most that's going to be released the quickest is going to be the Aurora 243. That's going to be our mainstream, especially for the CBRS band for 5G. We've been working with select customers for, throughout last year, and we're planning mass production here, beginning, Q1, Q2 for this year. So that's going to be our biggest kind of CBRS 5G product for us. And then for indoor, we'll have an equivalent that's similar to our neutrino called the Stellar 227. So we'll have an outdoor and indoor there. Narrowband IoT, this is, in US, we haven't done a whole lot for this product line, but, we're expecting, to do more of that here soon. But that's a different air interface, different requirements. So we're not going to talk too much about that today, but just know that it is a solution that we offer as well. If you want to go next slide. So yeah, on the 442i, what we did here is we wanted to make a high power radio that was also kind of simple to install. When it comes to our high power solutions for CBRS wise, we have our 846, our 436, but those are, professional installations. It's a little complicated to set up and install. You have to bring your own antenna, cables, power, so forth. For this product, it's a PoE powered and built-in Omni. So, Omni might not be for every use case, but for where there is one, this is by far the easiest product to install for CBRS. Just, it can be PoE power, and so Ethernet power and backhaul. And what we did too is that the power is actually cranked up higher than, the 1 watt per port that you had with 436. So the goal here with this product was not just to make it very, easy to set up, but to be able to hit the CBRS maximum ERP of 47 dBm. So you can do that with this product, where typically if you threw an Omni on our 436, for example, you maybe couldn't hit the full power capability that CBRS allows. So this you know, is going to be a big product for us on the LTE side for outdoor. Want to move on? Okay, 452. This was a big Band 41 product for us that we launched last year. It adds 2-carrier and 4x4 MIMO, and it's very high power. So especially last year, the tribal market in particular, you know, we saw a lot of demand with them getting access to the Band 41 spectrum. So this became a key product for us. So anyone that, you know, does have Band 41 spectrum, you know, I know the tribal community is probably the biggest market, or new market, but you know, there's a lot of other operators and opportunities out there for Band 41. So this product is kind of our new flagship for the Band 41 for US market. The other thing to note with this product, it's our only standalone base station on 4G that can, you know, has an upgrade path to 5G. So the idea here is you deploy it, and in the future via a BBU could be installed and then just treat it as a radio head to be used for standalone 5G. Yeah. Okay, can go on. And then the Aurora 243, this will probably be our hottest product to launch, being that it's going to be our first mainstream outdoor CBRS 5G standalone radio for private networks in particular. So this is the wattage is much higher as the channel bandwidth needs to reach at least 100, you know, megahertz. So the main key here with 5G is going to be you can use wider channel sizes, and in turn you'll hit the higher, you know, data rates. The uplink will also, you know, be much higher than we're seeing with LTE, being that you can do 2 data streams on the uplink as well. Also can cover many users, as you can see, 1,200 users there. In comparison to what we're typically able to hit with the 4G. So this is going to be our most popular, I think, 5G to launch. And it's, if anyone's deployed, installed a Nova base station, this is similar in that it's standalone, where the baseband radio heads all together. So it'll have a similar, you know, web interface to configure. They are available today, you know, for select trials, but the mass production of units, as you can see, is kind of targeted for Q2 here. Okay, want to go next? And then the indoor, it's actually the same kind of chipsets here. So performance-wise, you'll see it's the same. So this would be the 5G equivalent of the Neutrino 430 that we're already selling, but for indoor applications, this will be our 5G solution, and is also standalone, just like the Aurora. And also, I see there's one quick comment on the Stellar. It is PoE powered. I noticed there's a bullet point on that, but that is going to PoE plus radio as well. So sorry, you can go on. And then for CPE portfolio, we're kind of just highlighting the 5G products here. So for anyone that's doing a fixed wireless use case, we do have the 5G CPEs upcoming as well to match with the Aurora. Other than that, not too much else to discuss. So for those that are maybe kind of new to Baicells, we have, you know, a number of different categories. For a while now, the category 15 CPEs have been really our most popular ones. You can see we have the indoor and outdoor solution. The outdoor Cat 15 is our highest gain product as well. So coverage-wise, those tend to be the most popular. We have if you see in the middle, we have the router section there too. The Snap PoE router is designed to match with the outdoor CPE as it provides PoE power plus acts as the end customer's router as well. And then for any kind of mesh router use cases for expanding wireless inside the buildings. We have that as well. Okay, if you want to move on. Okay, so this, at least from my end, is probably our most exciting solution that we're bringing, to early this year. So to explain, essentially what we're doing here is we're going to be adding a BBU to our product portfolio. And while we have this solution today as far as a distributed solution, we have these gamma radios, which are just radio heads. We have a pulsar BBU. We've had this product line for a while, but what we're wanting to do is bring a BBU that can work with our existing products that are already mainstream and popular in the market. So this, so essentially, you can see in the kind of bottom left there's a list of some Nova neutrino radios. These products we will be pushing an update to soon, which allows you to convert them to radio heads, so RUs. And by doing that, you can then install a BBU and essentially gain more kind of features and performance. So today you could install, and in the future you could still deploy them as the typical standalone radio. But if there's a use case, to expand on the feature sets and performance, you could then add a BBU and convert them to radio heads. So the diagram you see here is just an example of there being, this is more of an indoor kind of view, but if you had like 3 floors, each floor had say 8 radio heads, that's just a simple example of that, could all connect to a single BBU. One of the big advantages here is typically when you do this, you need kind of dedicated backhauls and switches just for connecting the radio heads. Here we're just using simple IP network. So there's no changes you need to make to the backhauls at all. You're simply just throwing in a BBU and having the radios, connect to it, through IP. And from there, we're basically doing the split between the PHY and MAC layer to then enable, the more features that the radios by themselves, couldn't achieve. So some of the examples of that is going to be, more connected users. So that's one. But the biggest thing is you can put them all into a single cell type configuration. So in single cell configuration, you could have all these radios transmitting on a single, let's say 20 megahertz channel. But even with that single 20 megahertz channel, you could hit, in theory, speeds up to 3.5 gigabits per second aggregate downlink by using MU-MIMO. And so if each radio is, sending data on the same time and frequency domain to a different UE, we're able to achieve, that kind of aggregated performance. So I think getting, more throughput is the biggest thing. And by the other thing is because it's single cell, there's no handoffs. There's no complexity as far as, trying to configure handovers, getting that to work. As we've seen with a lot of mobility type applications, there's a lot of fine tuning and configuration to kind of get them to work smoothly, as far as configuring all the parameters of when the switching should happen. There's usually a lot of walk testing and fine tuning there, and we find that that's a lot of times gating or preventing these kind of private LTE private 5G solutions to maybe grow as quickly as there's just a lot of setup involved. So this kind of solution, we feel pretty strongly can help solve a lot of these and make it even easier to deploy. Yeah, there's a lot more we'll share. I think Tony mentioned we'll probably have webinars to talk more in depth there. but that is something to highlight is one exciting solution for us. And then lastly, the Halo B, I do want to touch on that, as we have been, for those from Baicells for a while, we've been working on this for some time to get the embedded EPC solution to add a lot of more additional functionality. Halo B for us, I think is quite key to make private LTE 5G very simple. It's kind of like essentially a coreless solution, is what we're trying to achieve here. So having the EPC built in, and most of everything is kind of automatically configured, and so there's not a whole lot to be set up. So it greatly reduces the cost to deploy it and simplifies setup. So essentially Halo B, once enabled, by default, it connects to our Cloud Core infrastructure. So you can still log into Cloud Core to manage your devices, but through Cloud Core you can also activate SIMs and apply the different service plans to them. And that service plans and SIM HSS user data will get synchronized to your base stations. So the EPC configuration itself is all automated. And the other nice thing is, depending on the backhauls, if especially in the fixed wireless space, the S1 connection back to wherever the EPC is located is quite sensitive. So if there's like wireless backhauls involved and maybe they're not as reliable, that's the one kind of disadvantage here with LTE or 5G is those S1 drops are going to cause your users to drop. So that's not the case here. So this is really the most robust core solution you can really have, is by having it run in the radio itself. And it works well. We launched it years ago, and it's our most popular setup with our customers. But the things we're focused on is trying to add the additional functionalities of having more than one APN, having higher QoS control, DSCP marking, and the highly requested layer 2. So we have this solution today as far as what we call Halo BV2, so adding these additional feature sets. We haven't pushed it to the general market quite yet, as we've been actively adding more and more customers just to make sure everything's working very smoothly. So we're expecting to make an official launch soon, but for those that are looking for those features today, they can always reach out and we can get their account set up to enable the V2 functionality. And then the products that support that today are listed there. End of this month, we will also be adding the Nova 442i to that list. And then the additional functions we're working to add is true mobility. We can do kind of a quick and dirty mobility method with V2 today. It's basically a cell quick reselection. So the UE will actually drop and reconnect to the other cell, but it can happen within a few seconds, but the data session will be lost. The mobility, so a true handover, X2 type handover is what's being added. So that will be coming. Don't have an official date yet for that, but we're definitely being first half of this year for anyone that needs it with Halo B. And then VoLTE and voice over NR, depending on what product you're using, that's also planned with IMS support as well. The other note here, quick before I guess we end, is we have shift. So the code base, we've kind of really redesigned and rebuilt it. And so we have, we're using the same basic code base as an external core option as well. So it's not highlighted in here, but we also have what we call bicore. So for anyone that does need a localized core outside of just being an embedded core, we have all that same functionality and solution available there as well.
Okay. Hey, Jesse, a question came in around Halo B. So if an existing Halo B customer wants to upgrade to the V2, Does that come at no charge? Is there a commercial implication? And maybe that's more also a call for Gary. Like, what does that look like? I guess that upgrade model for existing Halo B customers.
Yeah, we're not charging any extra. So the radios, they come with Halo B. Most of them come with Halo B licenses. So as long as you have the Halo B license, right, and you're an existing customer and you're already using Halo B, there's no additional charge. So we just have to basically set the account to enable the Halo B v2 features. And then there's a specific software version that needs to be upgraded to the radios. But other than that, yeah, there's no additional charge.
Okay, thanks. Anything else on the Halo B?
No.
From your side? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that was just kind of a touching upon some of the product activities, the announcements, scheduled for 2024. Like I said, some of the future kind of webinars we want to schedule is maybe where we peel some of those off and kind of drill down and do more of a deep dive in some of the details, and talking about capabilities, schedules, use cases, architectures, things like that. So transitioning off the products and the platforms for 2024, just really quickly wanted to kind of touch upon, where we're at from an event planning standpoint. And again, this is very much a work in progress, in a sense that, Gary had touched upon earlier, some of the priority kind of markets and verticals that will be driving us in 2024. And again, we want to look at a lot of events that really kind of focus on those specific market verticals. And I think, if we bring on more and more partners as we go and pursue the enterprise and private networks and those types of opportunities, certainly there's a much greater willingness to kind of combine forces with partners at events or even various campaigns or business development activities, as we kind of pursue some of these new spaces. But in terms of the immediate schedule over the next, say, 60 days, kind of what we're looking at for events and activities on our side, we've got the big one coming up at the end of February, which is Mobile World Congress. Again, this is a regular event for us since we are a global company. We'll be out there in force, showcasing a lot of the 5G products, some of the highlights that Jesse just kind of talked about. Kind of the theme for us at that show is kind of building 5G or building your 5G differently. But private networks, enterprising will be a part of that as well. And there'll be some announcements kind of in the build up in the latter half of February for that show around both products and customer projects. And an established one here in the States is WISP America, early March, Oklahoma City. Again, we'll be exhibiting there with a variety of products. Some of the products Jesse just kind of laid out in both the 4G and the 5G space, since we do have such an embedded base with that market segment. Then a new one for us that is very much focused on what we call, kind of smart city and education is this Connected Americas. This is in Dallas the second week of March. There's also a solid kind of carrier and service provider representation at that one as well. So we'll be exhibiting there. And then, every 6 months, the OnGo Alliance is having their members meeting. The next one's in Chicago at the end of March. So we'll be there as well, being a speaker on some use cases and some projects as part of that. But again, this is just kind of the beginning. We'll offer up more updates. You can come back to our website and kind of see some of these events. Again, as we kind of hook up with various partners and go after some of these more industry-specific events, that are targets of some of the market verticals that Gary kind of touched upon earlier in the session. And then again, what we were saying at the outset of this event, webinars, these are easy to do. They can be effective. We want to kind of have a regular cadence where we're putting something out every month with a variety of content that has value to our customers, to our partners, to new prospects. It's not going to be like a Baicells product commercial, but a variety of compelling content that, hopefully you guys find of value. So we're trying to hit this monthly cadence. Our next one is scheduled for February 21st. Stay tuned on the topic. And again, very much willing and interested to kind of combine forces with partners, as it makes sense, where it makes sense to kind of hit a bunch of topics that are relevant for these market verticals and these technologies, right? So we've already got a few for February with some of the partners kind of laid out there in the slide, and you can kind of see the variety of topics, right? So from the very kind of basic educational fundamental of why does private LTE, private cellular make sense for the enterprise? Why is it a good fit? Use cases. A lot of the challenges I think we all kind of recognize is just you can't over-educate enough on some of these fundamentals for people to kind of have the light bulb go off, connect the dots and say, yes, this type of technology and solutions make sense for us, for our business. How do I get it? And again, then transitioning into, exploring 5G versus 4G, having an appreciation for where 5G makes sense because there's lots of hype and marketing out there, and it's easy to just assume that 5G is one better than 4G, so that's what I gotta have, when there's a lot more to it than that. And then another one with just how we're combining to kind of better serve our partners. And again, we're setting the stage. We have lots of topics for each month of the year. But again, I think like we said at the outset, very much interested to also have from our partners and customers, inputs or requests or feedback on content, right? So what makes sense for you? What has value for you? What do we need to understand better? Because at the end of the day, we want you to be enabled because that makes sense for all of us. And we're even open up to the ideas of, do we coordinate on some of these sessions of bringing in a third-party speaker, like maybe an analyst that can kind of talk about and scope out opportunities of the market and getting a different perspective. So it's not just purely buy sells. We want to make these kind of very useful and interactive and helpful at the end of the day. And then again, just kind of real quick wrap up and summary before we get to questions. Again, just kind of, stepping through, just kind of touched upon a number of topics, but ultimately at the end of the day, right, this is kind of a new year, right, a new buy sells, new leadership, new partnerships, with ultimately kind of a more honed focus and strategy that leads to new opportunities for all of us. That's ultimately what we're preparing to do. Now, can open up for questions, assuming I can manage the tool appropriately. Questions.
I think that's great. It was very good. Jesse, I appreciate your update, and Tony, all your material, and we thank you for joining today. It was very helpful. If you have questions or you want to reach out to us anytime, feel free to reach out to us individually, or you're the buy sales team member that you know best, or if you need to be introduced to someone with our sales team, please let us know. We're happy to help any way we can. We're looking forward to this year and looking pretty darn excited about it. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.